Today we're going to learn how to paint Satan from Kingdom Death.
That the entirety of the cosmos is accessible to each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the channel, collectors. So today we're going to be painting Satan from Kingdom Death. This is the first Kingdom Death miniature I painted on this channel, so I hope you guys be kind with your comments and let me know which other Kingdom Death you guys would like to see me paint. Just make sure you stay to the end because in this video I'll be covering how to paint the Ashen skin on this really attractive lady. So if you are ready to paint some Kingdom Death, let us begin.
Alright, so if you want to paint the pinup from Kingdom Death, these are the colors that you will need. So just get all these colors ready and we can start painting very soon. Okay, so first and foremost, right here we're just going to be mixing some base colors for the skin. What I'm using is Fuel Blue with African Shadow just to give a more greyish tone. Okay? Right off the bat, what I want to do is I just want to block out the colors. So I find that blocking out the colors is very useful for just having a quick estimate on the color composition, and this is the base color for the skin. So right now I'm gonna add in a bit of Chimera red with a bit of black, and we're gonna be doing a bit of base coloring for her red clothing. So as I mentioned just now, I'm trying to create this atmospheric effect, and what I'm doing right here is I'm also adding in a little bit of Fuel Blue. So when creating this base color, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create sort of like very dark colors so that I can work up upon. Okay, so now moving on, adding in a little bit of intermediate green with a bit of Fuel Blue. We're gonna start painting in her hair. Okay, so this is this warm brown color that we are creating for her hair right here. As you can see, this is very desaturated, and I'm going to make it look a lot more multicolored later. Alright, so adding in a little bit more intermediate green along with the African Shadow from scale 75, we're going to be painting the phallic objects on the pumpkin. Okay, so these objects right here will be sort of glowing, and want to establish a very strong glow color right at the bottom. This will really make the colors look a lot more radiant in the subsequent stages. Okay, just using a bit of orange brown mixed in with a bit of Fuel Blue, just creating this orange brownish base color. We're going to be creating the base coat for the pumpkin right here. As you can see, the value looks a little high. However, because with acrylic paints, value tends to drop when the paint is dry. So just don't worry about this. As you can see, when the paint is dry, the color looks a lot more dull and looks a lot less vibrant. So here are all the colors base coated, and we can start focusing on the Ashen grey flesh. Okay, so right here I'm adding in a little bit of blue grey pale with a bit of Fuel Blue and a little bit of African Shadow, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a bit of scale 75 basic flesh tone. Okay, this color right here, this Ashen grey color, is gonna be the first layer of the skin color. Okay, as you guys might have noticed, right here I'm currently painting very specific shapes. If you want to know more about the shapes and highlights, do head on to our Patreon. The links will be in the description below, and I will be going in detail of how the shapes are created and how the shapes are formed. Okay, so now adding in a bit of Vallejo model color pale blue grey, and I'm trying to increase the value, and also adding in a little bit of scale 75 basic flesh tone. Okay. So right here, what's really important is to create an opaque layer as such, and to get the shapes as accurate as possible. So right here, I'm trying to paint a cast shadow on the chest of this model, and right here you can see there's a very stark cast shadow right there. And on the thigh, I'm also trying to follow the shapes from the reference pictures. Shapes are really important because they really help to communicate the form of the miniature. Okay, so now what I'm adding in is I'm adding in a little bit of orange with a bit of pale skin, basic skin, and volume watercolor pale blue grey. This I'm trying to create a warmer skin tone for the top of the miniature. So on this side of the miniature, with this warmer skin tone, what it really generates is a lot of contrast from the very cold skin tone that we created just now. However, because they are still very desaturated, what I really like is that this really creates this Ashen effect and really gives this very undead look to this miniature. Alrighty, okay, so placing a lot more emphasis on the face, what we did is just adding in slightly more pale skin with a bit more orange to boost the color temperature. So what you can see right here is really what's happening is we are trying to push the contrast, not just in value but also in color temperature. Painting faces, I am really specific about areas to place the highlights. So if you are not sure about this, you can go check out my painting female skin tutorial. Right there, I'll be covering some of this additional information. So this mix is pale blue grey, basic skin tone, and a little bit of fluorescent blue. And this is where I'm gonna start making the hair look a little bit more crazy. If I recall correctly, I felt that the tone here was a little bit too blue, the hue was a little bit too blue, and I definitely will want to change this up in the later stages. Okay, so if you're watching all the way to now, hope you found this useful. Why don't just give us a like and subscribe so you know when part 2 is coming out. And yeah, just randomly dabbing on some fluorescent green to create some interesting highlights on this miniature. Alright, okay, so right here I'm adding in pale blue grey with a bit of flesh tones, and this will form the mid-tone. So we had the underpainting just now with really contrasty and strange colors. Right here we're going to try to bring the miniature back to the norm. Why underpainting is useful is because underpainting really helps the miniature look a lot more nuanced without putting colors right in your face. Okay, so I'm gonna be ending the video soon, and yeah, if you found this useful, do give me a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in just a little bit for the conclusion. Alright, so this is the final result. In the next video, we're going to finish this model, and I hope to catch you in the next video so that you can see how I paint the cast shadows as well as the red clothing on this miniature. Catch you in the conclusion just a little bit.
So in this video, we have learned how to paint some Ashen skin, and I've also talked about some concepts of how you can use reference pictures to make your miniature painting even better. What do you think about this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see me paint more Kingdom Death, let me know which figures you'd like to see me paint, and I'll try to fit that in future videos. Alright, so right now I'd like to thank my patrons for allowing me to do this, because my patrons are generously donating, gives me time to paint and create these awesome tutorials for everybody. So if you want to support the channel, why don't you head on to the Patreon and become a patron today. For Patreon members, you guys will get the exclusive uncut version of this Satan from Kingdom Death, and you can scrutinize every single brushstroke that I do. So for whatever reason you can't become a patron, that's okay too. I'd like to thank you for watching all the way to the end. So if you could, give me a like and subscribe, because this really tells YouTube that this content is relevant and more people get to see it. And because we're a small channel, we're trying to grow. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope to see you in the next video. See you!